What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm one of your hosts here, Haize, and I'm following up on my solo video yesterday in which I talked about the Chicago Bears options on the defensive end in this last wave of free agency. So I wanted to follow that up with some offensive options for the Bears in this last wave of free agency. This time I'm going to be keying in on wide receivers and offensive linemen. I got a couple of ones for you guys that I think are very solid, and a surprise one on the wide receiver end, and then I got some solid prospects on the offensive line end as well. So we're gonna get into that and some more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
All right, Bears fans. So like I said in the intro, I wanted to follow up my video yesterday as we look to do more daily content here on Chicago Bears Central. It just made sense to do a follow-up video talking about the wide receiver and O-line options that the Chicago Bears could pursue for various reasons and in this last wave of free agency. I think I got a nice list of guys for you guys here. And so we'll get started on that. Again, let me know what you guys think about the daily content here as we continue to improve. Most of you guys that did comment yesterday said you would love the daily content, so here I am with that. Hopefully, as we get closer to the actual season being in play, we'll be able to do more of that. You may get some solo episodes from Bobby, some solo episodes from C-Dub, some just daily episodes from all three of us as well, as we continue to figure out a way to best deliver the content the way that you guys want it. We want you guys to continue to sound off because your voice is needed and necessary as we build out this platform. But with all that being said, let's get into these wide receiver options. So the first wide receiver option that I have for the Chicago Bears is Julio Jones. And this is something a lot of Bears fans have talked about, the possibility of him coming in. When you look at his age at 33 years old, he still has a lot left in the tank, but he may very well be one of those players who wants to go after a more playoff contention, a team that's in contention, rather than come to a Bears team that's projected to win about 6 to 7 games, even though I think they can get in that 8 or 9 game range. You know, I'm a Bears fan. That's what I do. But Julio Jones, let's go over some stats for him. They don't need to be said, but 10 games played last season, 31 receptions, 434 yards, and 1 touchdown reception for Julio Jones next year. Now, he's somebody who, as the Bears may look at this wide receiver core and want to bring in some more veteran presence to just help smooth out that wide receiver core. Not to say that they don't still see any of these wide receivers that we have on the roster very highly, but you may want to bring in a veteran presence, especially when you look at like Pringle, who, while his stats per reception look really good, Velus Jones is an older rookie. He may very well be ready to go. The Bears may want to bring in a veteran who can come in and do some things. So that's why I kind of built this list around. Now, Julio Jones is kind of one of those players that I do expect to want to go to more of a contender than the Chicago Bears, but you never know what could happen. Next one up is Will Fuller. Now, this is a guy who I think would very well take a 1-year prove-it deal, not necessarily to stay with the Chicago Bears long-term, but if he can prove that he can stay healthy, if he can prove he can still be a factor, may get a bigger deal next offseason with, if not the Bears, another team. Now, when you look at it, he only played 2 games in 2021, wasn't fully healthy there. His last full season, not really full season, but he played 11 games in 2020 with 53 receptions, 879 yards, and 8 touchdowns. That is very solid, especially when you look at that number of receptions. He's somebody who, like I said, could very well accept a 1-year deal from the Chicago Bears to come in and not only prove it to the Bears, but prove it to other teams and possibly set himself up for a bigger contract down the line. The next guy that kind of fits that as well is Cole Beasley. Now, he played in 16 games last season with 8 starts, 82 receptions, 693 yards, and 1 touchdown. While not having the number of touchdowns that Will Fuller had in 2020, you look at Cole Beasley again, he's 33 years old, very well fits in one of those areas of maybe willing to take a 1-year deal. And you know, that 82 receptions is nothing to shake your head at, especially coming in on a team where, you know, what if Velus Jones doesn't perform in the way that the Bears think that they could, or what if we have an injury? I think that Cole Beasley and Will Fuller, for that matter, I don't know if I mentioned Will Fuller's 28 years old, but Cole Beasley very well could fit as a veteran presence to come in and help complete and fill out that wide receiver core a little bit more. Next one up is Adam Humphries. Now, he played 17 games last season with 11 starts, 41 receptions, 383 yards, and 0 touchdowns. Now, the 0 touchdowns is a bit concerning, but Adam Humphries, again, 28 years old, another one of those players who could very well accept that 1-year deal from the Chicago Bears to come in, prove some things, maybe get a bigger deal, carve out a role for himself. You never know. I like Adam Humphries as well. I think Will Fuller would be my key target on this list, but I want to hear from you guys as well. And as a kind of a Hail Mary, so to say, is Odell Beckham Jr. Now, 29 years old from Odell Beckham Jr. We know injury history, things like that. But looking at Odell Beckham and what he could possibly offer the Chicago Bears, yes, I mean, it's all there. He comes in, he can probably be the #1 receiver, if not the #2. All that makes sense. But looking at Odell Beckham, he's going to be somebody who wants to go to more of a contender. He's going to want to try to compete for a title if he can. I don't really see him taking a 1-year deal from the Chicago Bears. Even if the Bears did offer him $15-20 million on a 1-year deal, I really don't see him accepting that, because I think he can get that offer and be on a better team elsewhere. So that's not really somebody that I look at and think is a realistic option for the Chicago Bears. But I did want to at least mention them on the list, because I already know somebody was going to get to typing. They were going to be in the comments asking, Haize, why didn't you bring up Odell Beckham Jr.? Well, that's why I wouldn't have brought up Odell Beckham Jr., but I still brought him up on this list because, hey, it is an option. And as we get closer to the actual start of the season, you may see some free agents accept some offers for some teams, if it's not just for the money, but maybe to set themselves up for next year. And Odell Beckham, only 29 years old. If he can stay healthy, we already know what he has in the tank, but I highly doubt he's an option for the Chicago Bulls. I talk too much Bulls. For the Chicago Bears, realistically. But let me know what you guys think about this list of wide receivers that I just mentioned. Is there somebody else, another sleeper target that you would like to see added or even talked about if we do another follow-up episode on potential free agent options, as the Bears freed up again? Like I said on the last episode, they freed up $7 million more in cap space per that June 2nd that deadline, not really deadline, but that June 2nd date, freeing up more cap space to kind of see if they're going to maneuver or add anyone else. But now that we finished the wide receivers, let's get into the offensive linemen that could potentially come into the Chicago Bears team. And while I do think that this Chicago Bears coaching staff really wants to give this offensive line a chance to show what they have, to show that they can compete rather than go in and bring in anyone else, but the options that I have here aren't necessarily people that I think can come in and take any starting positions per se, but they could bring in some competition, make those battles for those positions a little bit more interesting. And the first one that I want to bring up is J.C. Tretter. Now, he is 31 years old. He's already played for Luke Getsy, so he has some familiarity there, and could be an option that the Bears look at to bring in. And like I said, if not necessarily to come in as a surefire starter, but a veteran that can come in, add some heat to that competition battle, and really help these younger and unproven offensive linemen be prepared for the season. Now, somebody else that I really like, and this will probably be my target on this list, is Darrell Williams, 29 years old. He's played every position on the offensive line except center. So keep that in mind. If you're looking for somebody who can come in, whether it's injury, whether it's if somebody just doesn't live up to what maybe the expectations that the Chicago Bears had for them in the offseason once the season starts, Darrell Williams projects to come in and can fill any offensive line position that you could possibly have. So whether it is him just adding competition to a position like for Mustafa or anything like that, or if he just comes in and he outright takes the starting position, I think Darrell Williams would be a very nice target for the Chicago Bears to bring in as a late free agent acquisition for that offensive line. And then also Eric Flowers, 28, Eric Fisher as well. These are players that I really do look at and say, hey, again, not necessarily people you say can come in and be starters per se, but they can come in and add either some depth there, add a veteran presence, and also, on top of everything else, add in some competition at that offensive line. I really do think that the Chicago Bears, like I said before, are really not necessarily content with their offensive line, but they are happy to let these guys figure it out and to prove that they deserve an offensive line starting position. But the list that I brought up, I think are players that could come in and very much so help push this offensive line, if not really take it and solidify it a little bit more, especially as we look to see what's going to go on with that right guard battle. So let me know what you guys think about those options down below. You may agree, you may disagree, you may have some other options that you want to bring up. We want to hear from everything from you guys. Like I continue to say, as we continue to build this platform, and we're still at the very much the infancy of it, we want to hear from you guys. Sound off if you're on the podcast side and not the YouTube side. Make sure you're also sending in emails, which I'm about to plug here in a second as well, so we can interact and hear from you guys as well. All right, so that's really it. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Chicago Bears Central. If you want to follow the podcast, you can do so at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform. You can also send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, Chicago Bears Central at gmail.com. And then last, if you want to leave us a text and or voicemail to sound off, 773-270-2799. Thank you guys for all the support and the love that you gave in the last video. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Doing this show solo, as much as I do solo episodes over on Chicago Bulls Central, because this platform started with all three of us and the vision from all three, it is a little weird doing episodes by myself. But nonetheless, we're going to continue to bring you guys that daily content as we can and as there's content to bring, because we never want to be one of those shows that just does filler episodes. But definitely as we get closer to the season, there'll be more and more content to help bring you guys that daily content that you guys obviously want. Thank you again for tuning in to Chicago Bears Central. Bear down, guys. Let's go ahead and get out of here. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.